Here we have it then. This is the Motorcycle Diaries. It is Thursday the 11th of March. I am Luke Wilkins. Slight change of plan. I was originally taking the Bandit back to Suzuki today, to Milton Keynes, but they need a few more days to get my next bike ready, which from them I think will be the Suzuki Gladius, the bike that started it all off on the Motorcycle Diaries, but never obviously focused on the one with cameras and everything, and it's a new one. So, this is it. The VFR1200 was at the launch at Brindley Honda on February the 12th. It's probably one of the most talked about bikes in the industry at the moment, not only because of its radical styling, that incredible V4 1200 engine, but also because there's been a bit of controversy about it. People are wondering who Honda are aiming the bike at. You know, is it a sports bike? Is it a tourer? People saying, well, it's a sports tourer, but a lot of people have been deriding the fact that supposedly the fuel range is only about 120 fuel tank. Official figures show it's 160. Guess what? As part of this, I've got a full tank of gas now. I've got the trip computer on. I've just filled it up. We'll be finding out exactly how many miles it does do. Secondly, a lot of people not loving the style on this bike. I got to admit, when I saw it in pictures, I wasn't that keen. Seeing it at the launch, I thought it looked a lot better. It's a lot smaller, a lot more stylish in the flesh. Actually getting on and riding it, it kind of makes sense. It has got that slightly futuristic street hawk look to it. And I've literally just kind of been on it up and down, and already you can tell that engine is a real kind of rever, you know. It has got a bit of racing pedigree in there. It does want to be really giving it some. And another thing is, people go on about how big this is. It's actually very low and very sleek. You know, at the back, having the panniers. This is obviously the, I think it's the GT version, I can't remember what it's called, it's the F version. With the panniers in the back, they're actually slung underneath like that, and they really, really fit. Got a nice bit of iron cast metal or something underneath though to stop the exhaust gas from melting, which is good. As it's a Honda, as you can expect, build quality should be absolutely amazing. Yeah, normally Hondas are incredibly smooth to ride. I'm expecting this to be the same, and I'm rather excited about it, to be honest with you, because it is very, very different. I'm going to be nipping back on the Ducati at some point because my helmet cam's HD one arrives tomorrow, so I want to get some footage and some audio of that. But for today and tomorrow, I'm going to be on this. Okay, quickly, first up, let's just have a little look at the controls and everything. Standard, as I always like to do. Yep, very standard in regards to indicators, lights, hazards. And if we start it up, as you can see there, actually on the dials, on the left, you've got your speedo, you've got your tachometer there, odo at the top, or like my count at the top, clock, temperature. There's lots of different settings you can put on it as well. Let's have a little look. That's how easy it starts. Let's have a listen to this thing. Definitely a nice noise, isn't it? And it's very, very torquey, and as much that when I was pulling that I thought the bike was moving, you realise it's actually just the power of the engine. So without further ado, now you've listened to the sound of it. I've talked about why people are debating this a lot in the biking world. It's been slated by some people, which I can't quite get, but we will find out what it's like. I'm going to head off to Tamworth, to the Snowdome. I've finished my radio show for the day. It was wicked. Rock and roll they were brilliant on Kerrang. I'm going to go get a lesson with AT at the mighty Tamworth Snowdome. About a 40-minute journey, bit of A roads, bit of B roads, bit of motorway, then I'll be heading back, but I'll let you know what I think of it once I get there and I have my lesson. So I'm going to get on this bike and have some fun. See you in a bit. I thought I'd show you the profile from the back. Here we are, Tamworth Snowdome. Safe and sound. Wow, what a surprise. I'm not going to lie. That was a hell of a lot of fun riding up here. This thing is fast. We're talking about tourers, talking about sports tourers. I think they've created something a little bit unique here. That V4 engine is, you know, nice, smooth, placid. Let's start off, man. This is a Honda. It is smooth as. The clutch, the brakes, the revving through the engine, everything feels so lovely. Very different to the 1198 I've been on recently, which was like, you know, a bucking Bronco kind of thing. Suspension on this as well. Wow. It's a comfy bike. But that engine, up to about 4,000 or 5,000, it's beautifully manageable, it's wicked. You get between about 6,000 and 10,000 revs. It just goes, and it's got a real grunty sound. It goes, and it really, really takes off. And I had to actually, I can't tell you the exact speed I was doing because it would be very naughty, but it was coming down this section of the motorway where, you know, you're just going second, third, fourth. And I looked down, I was like, I cannot be doing that speed. I cannot be doing that speed. You know, any other bike, you'd be being buffeted around it. It's ridiculously smooth and powerful, and it feels like it's got so much more range. And I'm not talking about, you know, fuel miles per gallon here. I'm talking about the actual power and the speed of the bike. I'm genuinely really, really impressed. That's probably the quickest run I've ever done to the Snowdome. Nothing to do with traffic, just because this thing, it wants the corner as well. It feels really light when you're sitting on it, and it really does, which I know a lot of people think this is a huge bike, and well, I'll get all the weights and stuff for you another time, but it's really nimble, you know. You're going in the corners, and I was leaning this over further than I lean most race bikes, purely because it really, really wants to go. It's got a lovely balance point. It's so torquey, as I say. When you get up to about that 5,000 to 6,000 revs, when you snap your wrist back, this thing really pulls off. That was a lot of fun. I can see this being the kind of bike that you'd want to buy if you were into your sports bikes, but maybe, you know, don't want to be sitting down and, like, you know, in the full-on racing position all the time. Or if you're just, you wanted to commute, you wanted to do it every day, but you could take this on a track. We always said, actually, someone was saying to me the other day that, you know, I think it was Lee at Honda was saying, we talked about the launch, you probably take this quicker around something like the Nürburgring than you would an actual sports bike. You can kind of see why now. That is just my first ride, obviously. First impressions. I'm going to shut up now and go snowboarding before I'm late, but that's really impressed me. Okay then, first day on the VFR1200 Honda, brand new motorbike. I'm really impressed. Now, I'm not a big Honda fan. I don't rave on about the blade. You know, I like the R1, I like the Yamaha. You know, they're great bikes. Like, all bikes are good bikes, generally. They're designed for a purpose, but this has really surprised me. First up, I'm going to do a sound check for you, so I didn't do it for you earlier. I wanted to ride it first. As you can see, I'm going to show you the dials. You got the speedo there, tacho there, miles there, clock, air temperature. You can flick through different settings. Trip computer, you can see about 56 miles so far to Tamworth and back. It's interesting, actually, 46 miles, you have like 2 bars per petrol gauge. Right, let's have a listen to what it sounds like, because it is a very unique sound. What do you think of that? As I said earlier, that engine, I'm just going to turn it off actually, it's not too loud, has really, really impressed me. More than anything else. Never ridden a V4 before, but this is a really, really sporty engine. It's a sporty bike, the whole chassis and everything comes together. Look, it looks big, I know, on paper, and it looks like a Tourer, but look how low slung the chassis is and the engine, the weight is kept. That makes it so nice to chuck about. The M6 was horrible on the way back, and I was weaving in and out of traffic, you know, at quite speed, and it was absolutely great. I have not ridden a bike that's as easy as this to ride fast. I really couldn't believe it when I looked at the speedo, having given it a bit of blip and forth. It's great, you know. These screens keep you completely protected from the wind. There was no real wind buffeting. I'm 6'3", you know, at very high speed, shall we say. Obviously these panniers, because it is the version with them on, but without that it looks even more sporty. But this has made a genuine massive impression on me. For a first day, I can't really kind of tell you how smooth it is, but how sporty it does feel. You know, you get a lot of Tourers, they feel so smooth, they're boring. Yeah, easy to out the miles and that, but you want something that's going to give you a bit of zip. This really got that. In fact, I wouldn't even put it in the core Tourer category. I'll put this in a sports bike category. But the scary thing is I genuinely think I could go out on a ride with a lot of very good riders who are beyond R1s, Gixxers, Blades, and I'd only keep up with them. Maybe even go a lot quicker than this. I'm not saying obviously on a track, full out racing, it's any good to be anywhere near it, but on a road it's so easy, and that suspension just makes it so comfortable, the riding position. Oh, it's brilliant. Anyway, it's Thursday. I've done my boarding. That was a good fun lesson, by the way. Lots of carving. I fell over about 20 times trying to nail this tiny kicker. Only got it once. Rubbish. Then I realised I hadn't eaten all day. That's probably why I feel a bit lightheaded. But it's time to put this away for the night. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I'm going to take it for a big long ride tomorrow as well. I'm going to take it out to Worcester, Kidderminster down there, put it through its paces on some nice twisties. See what it's like at that, because at the moment, it's, as I say, really, really surprised me, really impressed me. VFR1200. What a machine, man. Don't be put off by its looks. A lot of people have. They're growing on me already. Until tomorrow, my friends, ride safe.